comes the boom. And welcome back to The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. And by politicians, I mean both those in the Republican and Democrat ranks. However, in Minnesota, we're on the front lines of this battle against the progressive left, the crazy globalists who are trying to change everything, including genders, which there's like 1,000 some nowadays, I guess, Jesse.
Yep.
So this is what we are seeing. And I never thought for my whole life that I would be talking about this stuff so much. Seems like we're doing a lot of shows on it, but we have to, because clearly this is what the left wants. And I think they're going to suffer electorally for what they're pushing. So joining me to talk about these important issues is MAGA Jesse. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, it's a good thing that we're not on YouTube with this one, because we would be banned again, because anybody that questions the transgender agenda, they get cut out. You know, it's a crazy world that we're living in, and we have to fight for the children.
Well, we haven't been banned on YouTube for this reason. You know,
Right.
I just noticed something here real quick. Can you zoom out on Jesse? Did you purposely throw William's DeSantis hat on the ground like that?
Well,
that,
you know,
Dawson.
it was just sitting around.
Unbelievable. Wow.
This is garbage.
That's,
you know.
like, you're so biased. I think we're going to talk about
Maybe.
DeSantis. We're going to get in the article you wrote about Florida's transgender ban, transgender surgery ban. Sorry. No one's
Yeah,
trying to
nobody's
ban
banning
transgender people.
transgenders. Yeah, everyone.
That's what they want you to believe. They
I
actually want
know.
you to believe that there's violence against them.
Right. They act like we're cancel culture. You know, we don't want to cancel transgenders. Do whatever you want. I don't care. I just don't want any part of it, and you can't do it to children. You can't do it to kids.
That's where we're going to go with this thing. Is you have to separate the overall issue from children. And it's not like this is just living in our imagination. That literally the LGBTQ IA plus, which I believe means two spirits. Is that what we learned?
Right. Yeah. There's the 2 in there too now, I guess. So who knows?
But there's a 2 in there.
Yeah. They literally put the number 2 in the acronym nowadays. It just keeps on going.
Well, they're not all one community, as Dave Chappelle wrote out or said in his special. That's alphabet people. They don't all like each other.
Yep.
Anyhow, they want to bring kids into this whole thing. In fact, we revealed. I still don't think anyone's really picked this up in the media, but our lieutenant governor wore a shirt saying "Protect Trans Kids." It's got a bayonet on it.
Yep.
Big knife. What's that about? So we'll talk about this potentially going into a call for violence too on the left, which this seems to be their rallying cry. So first of all, let's go into this. I think you sent me this the other day. Seems like something you would send me, Jesse.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's not InfoWars stuff, it's usually some other pop culture.
It's usually something crazy.
All right, so this is Drew Barrymore. I'm going to just say this. I didn't know Drew Barrymore had a show.
Right.
I think I remember like a concept of a show a while ago. I didn't realize she actually had a show. They're just giving shows away these days. I mean, Jimmy
I
Kimmel's
guess
got a
so.
show. You know, it's pretty amazing. Well, we have a show. Okay, so anyhow, I got Dawson laughing.
But the
on that
establishment didn't pay us for this one. You know, we're not doing their work.
By the way, forgot to introduce Dawson, the guy running the dials. How dare I? There you go. Yeah. Pulling all the triggers. Okay, so let's play this clip. Drew Barrymore, on her show, she has a transgender... Okay, hold on one second. Trans woman, so this is a man who is dressed up as a woman. I actually am fooled because there's like really no arm muscles here, so I thought this was actually a woman. But this is a transgender person who apparently is going to be a big face in the transgender movement. As she gets an interview with Biden, we're going to show you in a minute.
Right. And, you know, one thing I've been trying to do is I tried to find out what this dude's name was before Dylan, and I don't know what it was. I mean, it is tough to find. Dawson had said earlier to me that it's stead naming. That's definitely the term that these transgenders like to use if you say their real name. And
well, why do you think Dylan's not it? Dylan is a boy's
I don't know.
name.
I thought it was something different. And, this person was an actor. They're on a bunch of different things, the Book of Mormon and all kinds of Broadway and things like that. And now some TikTok star that's, parading around, there's all kinds of people that are watching this and bad influence on kids.
Well, so Dylan's a boy's name, though, isn't it? Dylan Mulvaney?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Spelled it
it
wrong.
was always the name Dylan. I don't know.
Actress? Oh, so IMDb has Dylan as an actress. How appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've seen this person in something. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and the last name is familiar to me too, but
right.
I couldn't connect the dots on
Well,
that.
yeah. Well, it's close to Mick Mulvaney, right?
Right, yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
there's that, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's listen to this clip. This is really bizarre what Drew Barrymore does on set.
But I also think there's something just about making sure that you don't put something out there before you're ready, and really just surrounding yourself with good people. It's interesting because I look at someone like you, and I can't imagine anybody disliking you.
Oh, please. Do you know,
Here we go.
Do you want to know, ironically, who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Who?
Myself.
Me too. Oh. But
I'm getting verklempt.
I guess
Talk amongst yourselves.
You've asked me now, you've asked me
So weird.
what I would do to combat the hate, right?
Yeah.
But what do you do?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, I started...
You've been doing it a little longer than I have.
Well, it's funny because when I was a kid, you starting with E.T., it was the first time I was introduced to film reviews, which are
All right, let's
basically...
cut it there. We'll have to go through the sad story of E.T. film reviews. She was like 3 or something in that film. She's not much older than me, because I think that came out pretty much in 82 or 83. This is the whole thing, is like the violence, the threats against the trans community, which it's, first of all, if you guys aren't following this stuff, I'm probably telling you something you already know, but it's like, if Dave Chappelle tells a joke that includes the trans community, that's a threat. That is targeting trans people. It's so utterly ridiculous.
Right.
And they want you bowing. They want you taking a knee to them. It's like Drew Barrymore is like acting there. Actually, both sides are acting there.
For
Actually,
sure.
in many ways, the audience is acting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can even see the people in the audience. You can't hide uncomfortability. It's a little bit weird, and everybody's looking at this thing like, I guess I'm supposed to support this. And, you can see the audience is confused. You can see that Drew Barrymore is just trying to gain some points with the, SJWs. It's just totally insane. That's a dude dressed up as a woman, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
I was fearful that when she got down and that like her balls would pop out.
Right. I was worried about the same thing. It's like, who knows what's going on with that whole thing? And, that dress, who wants to kneel if you, it's a weird one.
Listen, I don't want to try to be mean to people that actually have gender dysphoria. Obviously, when you go around and you're starting to enter the political and the social cultural stage, you're fair game. And now you want us all live in this delusion, and wait till you see this clip with Biden.
Right.
It just shows that they're taking this to the largest political stage. I didn't really, I'm always torn on this. It's like, I want to be so into the politics of things. I think you tune in this show because you're interested in the politics. If you just want someone commentating on the social stuff, the Hollywood things, I mean, there's plenty of other people to do that. So why we're talking about this is because we're actually watching this in Minnesota, because we're on the front lines of this battle against the progressive left, and we're seeing their agenda full out because they got a trifecta in Minnesota. And we're seeing exactly what they want to push, and now it's coming for children, and that's where it's like, wow, you've really crossed the line. But they also, even with grown adults, they want them to. They want taxpayers like us to pay for surgeries, which is insane.
Right. No, I know, and it's a total mentality of groomers, that they're pushing on to these kids and trying to use the taxpayer funds for this. They already pay for abortions. They might as well start paying for transgender surgeries according to this democrat logic. And like you had mentioned too, it's amazing how even just making a joke is now like the worst thing in the world to them. They take it as a threat of violence. Everyone else is allowed to be joked about, and I'm a total free speech guy. Every joke should be allowed, and it's insane that there's this kind of pressure, this transgender agenda that can pressure these comedians and whatnot.
Razzle Dazzle says Drew is still drunk. Did she have a drinking problem?
I don't know. I don't know much
about.
about Drew Barrymore other than what we just saw, the chaos there.
Well, Tucker says not drunk, still high on the cocaine she was forced to snort as a child. I don't. We got to fact check some of these comments here. I think big tech should silence these people. Mark says, "Hi guys, I'm back in Florida. Drew Barrymore must be spiritually dead. The Lord's word in Deuteronomy. Can't talk today. How dare I? My dad and mom are gonna be so mad at me. I can't pronounce a
Book of the Bible.
book of the Bible. 22-5, a man shall not wear women's clothes and a woman shall not wear man's clothes. I don't know. What about like acting though, which is what we just watched?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they don't really follow any of that book, which is actually a really good book, as we were discussing on the last show.
Yep.
So this is permeating to the political discussion, the political stage, to the highest level, right? I mean, we talked about Governor Walz last week's show. Let's talk about Biden. I didn't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of found this today. So let's go ahead and cue up this clip where some left-wing group, what is this? Now This is the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different news outlets. I don't even know.
Yeah, they're essentially like the Huffington Post. They do shorter versions of clips. But
this is a full sit-down interview with them. Okay, so Dylan Mulvaney is on this forum asking Joe Biden, or what we perceive to be Joe Biden, questions about trans rights, which I don't think he really gives a shit about trans
I didn't
rights.
check his earlobes. I'm not sure if it's the real Biden or not. We'll see.
All right,
are
watch
they
this.
attached
This is
or
crazy.
detached?
Let's watch this.
We're going to move on now to trans rights. There have been many anti-LGBTQ
Look how much he cares
bills
about this
introduced and
topic.
enacted, outlawing things like gender-affirming healthcare and banning kids from playing sports. To go deeper into this issue, here with us today is Dylan Mulvaney, who's welcomed us into her life by...
All right, let's just pause real quick
showing
there.
on
Pause. Dawson, video expert, isn't that interesting? They got a moving camera there. Did you see that? That little trick they're trying to play on you, like this thing's real grassroots focused stuff. It's like a stage thing with President Trump. Did you notice that? Yeah, rewind that here. They're kind of moving that camera around as if this is, look at it. Unless that's just really bad cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure that's added in post.
Oh, you think?
I think
Wow.
So why would you do that?
Well, there's plenty of reasons. Well, it's weird because one of the main reasons that you would do that is to make it look like it's lower quality production, whatever. Now this, I guarantee they would have the ability to not have it be wobbly.
Right.
But then the other thing that you use it in is horror films and stuff when you want to make the audience uneasy.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I'm uneasy.
And
I'm uneasy watching this.
I don't know why in the world they would decide to use that for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Once again, just a big show that they're putting on for us here. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to this. Once again, an actor. So.
Yeah, her Girlhood series. Let's take a look.
My name is Dylan Mulvaney. I am a trans woman, and I am documenting my transition publicly on TikTok for the world to see. When people started watching,
Look at
and
that
the numbers kept
mustache.
getting higher, I realized quickly how public my transition would be. Of course, I knew that there would be backlash and negativity. I try to not let the internet's words hurt me or my spirit. But do you know what does hurt? Seeing people in power and authority figures creating laws and bills that are actively trying to harm us trans
All right,
humans.
stop real quick here. So you are in Hollywood. You are someone that's out there in the space, and then you do a very public transition to a woman, and we all have to be silent and just praise you. And if you're Drew Barrymore, you got to get a knee for this crap.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, this reminds me of the South Park episode, the recent one. If you guys haven't seen this, you got to watch it. It's about Prince Harry and whatever her name is, Meghan Markle. And they're on their worldwide privacy tour. It's, oh, God, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, so good. But basically, we just want privacy. That's all we're here. We want privacy. Respect their privacy as they go on to like the shows and all that stuff. It's like, oh, my God, you guys are delusional.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, what's so crazy about what they want to do is they want to change our opinions. It's like they're telling us that our opinion, the thing that, is just our own, we can't help our opinions. They're telling us that our opinions are wrong and that we have to accept this, or, we're transphobic and every other phobic that they want to list out.
Tucker noticed Dylan had more facial hair than MAGA Jesse. Ouch, what a low blow. What'd you ever do to this guy?
No, that's okay. I mean, it's true. I don't have much on my face right now. I'm shaved up, and I saw that mustache too. I definitely saw that mustache in those first couple of pictures of she there.
So, obviously this isn't just some random shot. These are all stage shots. You don't go into a place that's got that background.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bizarre. Anyhow, this is where Dylan makes a pivot to the greater movement and invokes children. So it's like it's not us that are doing this; it's them that are doing it, and this is where it gets me fired up.
Right.
Otherwise, I think this just gets ridiculed in the sense that you think you're a woman, you're really a guy. Maybe you actually have gender dysphoria. Maybe you're just an attention-seeking asshole who's an actor. Right? Could be that. Could very likely be that here in this case. But and then of course, if we even opine on it or tell a joke, we're awful people, which is really what the job of comedians is to do, is to tell jokes.
Yeah.
You guys just have no sense of humor, right? Which is another really bad character trait of yours.
Right.
I never really thought I would be so fired up on these trans issues, and then go talk to like people about this stuff, and I just, it gets me so mad, and because it's going to children. All right, sorry, enough of me opining on this. Let's continue the video.
Especially trans children. Our lives have become political talking points. Lawmakers in many states want to exclude us from participating in sports or getting proper health care. Some folks want to decide where we can use the bathroom. No one should have fear living in a state that they call home while being true to themselves. No one should have their lives put in danger.
Look! Oh, stop! Hold on, stop. Even the background, if you look at that crosswalk, it's the pride flag with the trans thing on it. The poor gay community now, they've given up a third of their flag to the new colors.
Yep.
Before long, the rainbow's going to be completely gone because they're going to fit everything else on that flag. You see that? Like, this whole thing is staged. Oh, don't opine on this. Don't talk about me. I'm being bullied. But here I am, just displaying myself to the world. And we can't have an opinion. We have to kneel down and just go along with the delusion.
And what Mulvaney was also saying there was that, it's these Republican states, these red states that are pushing these laws. It's like the only laws are to stop kids. It's crazy.
Not when it comes to adults, like powerlifting,
of course.
Crazy idea, because that's what she's saying. She's tackling it all. She's putting it all together in one little pot.
Right.
She goes, oh, they're coming after us athletes. Yeah, maybe maybe a man who transitioned to a woman after the age of maturity should not compete in women's mixed martial arts.
Right, and also maybe men shouldn't be going into women's bathrooms. Maybe men shouldn't be in the women's locker room. It's pretty obvious, simple stuff.
It seems obvious, that we would be against, that most of society would be against a full-grown man living in delusion, going into a ladies' locker room with little girls walking around and then whipping out a big old dick.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
It's totally an avenue for these pedophiles and the groomers and everything, and that's really what we're worried about. There's of course the crazies, then there's the people that have really bad intentions and evil things that they're considering.
Well, and that's where I'm going with this.
Right.
Is this person's actually got evil intentions here. By the way, the arms do look like a woman's arms. Okay, so that's the one thing that made the transition easy. Is I don't think that person ever lifted a weight in their life.
Doesn't look like it.
Right. Okay, let's continue on.
Because of who they are inside. That's why I'm sharing my story with the world. I'm using my platform to stand up for my community and for any of the little Dylans that deserve a clear path to their true identity. Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Thank you. I am extremely
He doesn't give a
privileged to live in
shit.
a state that allows
God
me
love you.
access to the resources I need, and that decision is just between me and my doctors. But many states have lawmakers that feel like they can involve themselves in this very personal process. Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming health care?
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that. As a moral question and as a legal question. I just think it's wrong. I think I was saying before we started that my deceased son, used to be the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He passed the broadest piece of legislation that he, as Attorney General, can
Do it again,
was able to
Dawson.
convince legislature
Camera
and the
trick.
governor to sign, that dealt with all gender-affirming capability. I mean, there's a lot of, sometimes they try to block you from being able to access certain medicines, being able to access certain procedures, and so on. None of that should be available. I mean, no state should be able to do that, in my view. So I feel very, very strongly that you should have every single solitary right, including use of your gender identity bathrooms in public.
Okay, so obviously Biden doesn't give a shit about this stuff. This guy's
Right.
been around since the dinosaurs, so he's been told this is what you have to say and this is what you got to do. And I kind of wonder, like, is Biden so lost at this point in his mind that he just says whatever, or does he go back after this interview, which probably tired him out, he had to take a nap, and go, what the hell are we even talking? Why are we talking about this?
He's got to have those thoughts deep down. I mean, there's no way that a guy that's 80 years old is sitting there talking about transgender stuff and not thinking that it's crazy. And you can just see he's a puppet. He's just reading whatever lines and script that he's told to. He has no genuine thoughts of his own anymore. He's just serving as a body to, just a vehicle for the Democratic radical socialist agenda. So he has no real thoughts anymore. It's pretty crazy to see.
How do you think if Trump would even get in a situation like this as
Yeah.
an official spokesperson in Roseville, Minnesota, for the Trump campaign, Jesse? How do you think Trump would have handled something like this?
Right. Well, I think if he was going to be interviewed by a transgender, it would probably be Caitlyn Jenner. And I think Trump would just say that, you're allowed to do what you want as an adult, but don't mess with kids. And that's what his position has been all along.
Now, but I think the sleight of hand here, and all I'm noticing, Dawson, as this is being introduced to your life too, because Dawson's really just not that political, it seems like there's a lot of sleight of hands going on. Do you notice how she is saying that they're trying to stop us from getting the surgeries we want? Everything needs to be between us and a doctor. It's like, you don't get a right to say that when you come over to me to pay for it, because that's actually the issue. I'm just going to say where I'm at personally, because I'm very libertarian minded. I don't give a crap what you want to do to yourself.
Yep.
As an adult, I think I'm fine with the adult being 18, maybe 18 with a college degree. I don't know what we should consider it. I know the brain doesn't fully develop into your 20s, but let's just say it's an 18-year-old. I think at some point we got to say they can make a decision. They can screw with their body the way they want to.
Yeah.
Certainly everyone in Hollywood is screwing with their bodies. I think plastic surgery is a pretty very popular, booming business out there. So... But we've got to take that issue, that freedom that any adult has, as long as it's with their money, and partition that from you're taking other people's money for this delusion, or forcing compliance with this, or having big tech silence people that have an opinion on this, or canceling comedians who want to poke fun at this stuff because it is actually kind of funny. You guys are so goofy. Or at the very least, can we at least agree that you shouldn't be hacking up young children and feeding them hormones before puberty?
I'd wish that they could just agree to those simple terms. Let's just return to common sense, because I think these leftists, none of these people, like I said about Tim Walz, same thing with Joe Biden, these people at the beginning of their careers, they never imagined ever doing anything like this, and they didn't agree with it. They've been coerced and forced into believing this, and they're just reading their lines. They don't care about how crazy they look. They just think that they're scoring some Democratic points.
All right, so Dylan said that she's on 200 some days of being a woman, which, what do you have to be? At least 280 until you can be winning women's awards nowadays? What is it?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. You imagine like a woman's award and you're a man, you've been a man for like whatever, I don't know how old this person is.
Yeah, I don't
late
know, maybe
20s or something
30,
like that?
yeah.
Yeah. And so you've been a man for like 29 years, and then you're a woman for 1 year, and you win some kind of award.
Right.
Good God. All right. So, how long do you think Dylan has believed that he's a woman?
Well, that's the crazy thing. I don't think that any of this stuff started happening until the last couple of years. Nobody really said anything about this transgender stuff. And when people did, they were kind of the outcasts of society, the weirdos, and that's how we should still probably treat them. But apparently what Dylan Mulvaney says is that he discovered that he was a woman at age 4. There's actually an article I sent over to Dawson that explains a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, and I had you look this up. I haven't even seen this article yet. This is a Variety that we got this from, which is another left-wing publication.
Yep.
Very few that aren't left-wing, right? Let me pull this up on my computer real quick. Why is that not opening? What's going on with my computer? Finally, the NSA has blocked me from opening things. There we go. TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney recalls coming out as trans at age 4, tells trans youth there's light at the end of the tunnel. First of all, like, just think about that. Going out there and trying to, put these toxic ideas in the minds of youth. How about you just don't impact children in that regard? Like, this is not a virtue that society has deemed great. This is actually very debatable. You're kind of a monster for doing that. There's some things that we've realized are good virtues that we can impart on children in general, right? Like have dreams and go somewhere that, things like that.
Right.
Be kind to your neighbors. But this is not a virtue. I mean, most people are against this kind of stuff. So while accepting the great groundbreaker award at this year's, oh my God, Queerties. Did you know about this stuff? That's a thing, huh?
Did I know that the queries exist? Queerties?
Queerties.
No.
Okay. At this year's Queerties, we're learning things on the show. On February 28th, Dylan Mulvaney declared it's day 352 of being a girl. So this is obviously after the interview with President Biden, because I think it was on like.
Right. It references that interview in this article too.
Hold on one second. 352. And that's on February 28th. Just doing the quick math. I think we're on, good God, we're probably right now celebrating 1 year of Dylan Mulvaney being a dude.
Wow.
Being a girl.
I can't believe it.
I think if I got this math right, because what is it? March 16th.
Yep.
16th. It probably would have happened 3 days ago.
Wow.
What is that? Happy birthday?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, what do you say in that
situation?
situation?
Happy birthday because it's a new birth, right? Something like that.
Yeah, something.
All right.
Mazel tov.
Oh, holy shit. Did Dylan plan it for International Women's Day?
Oh, maybe. That would make a whole lot of sense. That would definitely make a lot of sense.
The 26-year-old TikTok star who has been chronicling her journey on social media will mark 1 year transitioning Dylan Mulvaney's Day 365 Live. Oh, how did you not tell me about this, Jesse? We had a live event on TikTok, the Chinese app, on March 13th at a cabaret show. Oh, that's why you didn't tell me about it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have watched. Holy shit. Anything goes these days. At New York's iconic Rainbow Room. The live stream event, which benefits the Trevor Project, will feature appearances by a bunch of people who we don't know who they are, but I see a lot of references to queer. Actually, the first person, Rachel Brosnan, that's Mrs. Maisel.
Who's that?
Haven't you seen that show? It's actually a really good show.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, it's like a comedian in the era of like the 50s. It's really well done.
Oh, okay.
I really am a.
It's called Mrs. Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I knew she was a lefty, so and enjoy music, enjoy some things these days. You kind of have to forget about their politics.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard to do that. Mulvaney was appearing in the Book of Mormons on Broadway when the world shut down due to the pandemic. Back at her childhood home in San Diego with her very conservative family, she came to terms with her gender identity and began her transition. Since then, she's amassed almost 11 million followers on the Chinese app TikTok. Sorry, I'm adding some editorial here. And more than 1.7 million on Zuckerberg's Instagram. In October, she was invited to the White House to discuss trans issues with President Joe Biden. So that actually happened back in October. We just weren't on the ball on that one.
Yep.
I caught up with Mulvaney for this week's episode of the Just for Variety. Okay, here we go. Watching Laverne Cox and Orange is the New Black. You notice how we're just naming all these things that I don't even consume in my life,
Right. I don't watch that kind of stuff either.
Like the most woke I've gone here is watching The Last of Us. Which,
oh, yeah.
Which Dawson was alerting me to. That was actually a video game turned into a show.
And probably one of the best video games ever, by the way.
Oh, the show's not bad. You got to get past the woke stuff. All right, and just being like that, oh my gosh, that's an option. That's a thing. I came out to my mom at age 4. I told her I'm a girl. We were very, very religious, so she was like, God doesn't make mistakes, but I didn't know that I could transition. I didn't know that there were, because you're 4 years old. I have a almost 3-year-old at home, a 2.5-year-old. So I'm just trying to think at 4, because I got my next one's 6. Like 4. Like my 6-year-old doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
4-year-old. Like, you're just a
Yeah,
liar. That's what you are.
Right. And yeah, it's just crazy. What is the mom supposed to do? Well, let me give you all these options of transgender surgery. Let's cut off this 4-year-old's penis. You know, it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, mom's actually making a great argument.
Exactly.
Who got wrong? You or God?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's getting, like, you think you're a girl. I mean, you can't say this to a 4-year-old because what you don't listen to 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
Despite what Peggy Flanagan, our lieutenant governor, has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't listen to 4-year-olds. They don't know shit. All right. So, but this is where it's going. It's one thing for this to be discussed in the past. I mean, it is what it is. 4 years old, whatever. I don't believe your story one bit. But this is now becoming an issue that has to be dealt with in the public realm. Let's pull up the article that Jesse published today on the Red State's bans on child genital mutilation surgery, because this is where this is all heading. And so as you were seeing in that clip, and I guess I didn't play the rest of the Biden clip. You guys can go look at this yourself. They want to make it seem like the transgender community is just being targeted and all this violence is being thrown at them. You know what? Actually, let's go play that clip, because didn't they dropped in that interview that weird parent statistic that black trans people are being,
that they're the highest risk of dying in the United States or something like that.
Okay, let's go back to that clip before we get into this article. Oh, okay.
It feels like Republicans have turned trans and non-binary people into this thing to blame society's downfall on in some ways. And this narrative is not only dangerous to our mental health, but also our physical safety.
There you go.
And particularly trans women of color are being murdered at an alarming rate.
More than any other group of people.
Thank you. And Democratic leaders.
More than any other group of people. What is he talking about?
It's like, what kind of show are we living in? This is such a goofy thing. Like, did he just not know that and just want to emphasize that point, or did they tell him you need to emphasize that point? Like,
oh no, I'm sure his handlers definitely told him that he has to emphasize that point. I hear all the leftists, that's one of their biggest talking points. They say trans people are being hurt at an alarming rate, especially black trans women of color, and they go through the whole thing. And I don't know why they specifically single out black trans people and say that they're at such a high risk, because I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know where they're getting that crap from. I don't believe that bullshit.
Yeah, they always want to say the hate crimes, all that kind of crap, even though that's not really what's going on. I'm sure there's maybe some examples, I'm not going to say that it's not happening, but to the extent that Joe Biden needs to talk about it, I don't think so.
No, of course not. It's ridiculous. But of course, it's the white MAGA Republicans that are at the behest of that, right?
That's what they say.
That's what we have to learn from these guys. That is enemy number one. Especially when they get private tours of the U.S. Capitol. All right, let's go back into this bill. So this is why there's a call for this. Now, we put this little image here, boy and girl. If you guys don't know, the girl's on the left and the boy's on the right there. That might be something that a lot of people didn't know. And if you need to know the difference between the two people, go back to episode, what was that, like 16?
Something
we
like
explain the differences. See, now that William's not on set, who's very embarrassed when I bring that up. I don't know why he's just always so embarrassed by that. Yeah, there you go. William's chair that left empty today. This knife here that we took from the shirt of Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota. This is the symbol they're starting to put out there. Now, she was wearing that in this. So you start out the article talking about Peggy Flanagan Walls, our awful governor, who's being groomed to be president of the United States, apparently.
Yep.
She's wearing this shirt with a knife on it. It says "Protect Trans Kids." And we have learned that actually these things are popping up all over the place. Someone was at a store the other day, and they witnessed this sign at the store that had that same logo, Protect Trans Kids, with the knife. This individual asked the person, the store clerk, what that even meant. The store clerk didn't know what it meant, but we have to assume that's like their call to arms. And this is the trick that the left uses is, if there's violence being orchestrated towards us, we can be violent back, right? An eye for an eye kind of principle.
Yep.
So I think they make up these statistics.
Look at these Democrat politicians that wouldn't call out the violence of Antifa, of Black Lives Matter. They wouldn't call out the destruction of buildings and property and businesses. So it's the same kind of mentality. They think that it's okay to use violence to get what they want. And then the second that anything on the, conservative side happens, they, call out Proud Boys and, call everyone a racist and everything. It's just their logic is not consistent at all.
Right. And obviously, I don't know a single person that wants to commit violence against trans people.
Yeah, I don't know anyone either.
I know a lot of people that want to stop the trans community from committing violence against young children.
Right.
By feeding them hormones before puberty or, even going into genital mutilation surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, this is the narrative from the left, as you guys well know at this point. But what you write about is this is actually being dealt with here in some states.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the big call to arms by them is we're being bullied. This is the terminology our governor actually uses, these bullies, right? And so the bullies are in reference to Alabama, which you write, meanwhile, red states like Tennessee, Florida, and Alabama have banned the practice of transgender surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone injections on minors. Alabama's bill banned this for anyone under the age of 19 and will even pursue criminal charges against doctors who do them with up to 10 years in prison and a $15,000 fine.
Right. And that's how it should be done. Anyone that wants to perform these kinds of surgeries or try to screw with these kids' hormones or try to, mess with their body, you should be going to jail. And I think it's interesting that they choose to do it at under age 19, so that means that 18-year-old adults don't have that choice, but I'd rather they go in that direction too far than allowing these kids at all. So I think that's interesting. I was actually even seeing some states are considering bans up to 26 years old. So that's an interesting way of them going about it as well.
Well, and that might be based off of when the brain fully develops, right? Because I think it's about 25 years old, prefrontal cortex is fully developed. But, once again, I think society has to determine the age of the majority, and we mostly, for the most part, have said it's 18.
Yeah.
So this bill encompasses anyone under, well, they include 18-year-olds, I guess, in this bill. So they assume it's the age of 19.
Right. And then
I want to get into, I'm going to show a clip by Jordan Peterson, whose opinion I respect a lot, who's, I think, a deep thinker on issues like this. I think it's just, this bill is good. You don't touch full-grown adults with their own money. He has a different opinion. I'm actually kind of interesting. So I'm going to play that clip. But so this is how Alabama handled it. Then we have Tennessee, and this is what got a lot of notoriety. Their bill was so just imagine in Minnesota, and once again, we're on the front lines of this liberal progressive agenda. I don't want to call it progressive. They're clearly regressing as a society. So let's forget the term progressive. I almost never say that. For some reason, I got on set today and go, let's say progressive again. They're just a crazy left-wing agenda, right? Radical. And their agenda, number one in Minnesota, is the abortion in all cases bill. In Tennessee, with a Republican majority and a governor, their number one priority was to protect children from the child abuse of these surgeries. So SF1, Senate File 1, prohibits all forms of medically changing a child's gender. And then in the article, we actually did a little cutout here, the general prohibitions. This bill generally prohibits licensed healthcare professionals, establishments, and facilities from performing or offering to perform on a person under 18 years of age, or administering or offering to administer a medical procedure if the performance or administration of the procedure is for the purpose of enabling a minor to identify with or live as a purported identity inconsistent with the immutable characteristics of the reproductive system that define the minor as a male or female. Notice how the left is also trying to bastardize the term male and female these days too, which should be just scientific.
Yep. And it just goes to show, this was the very first bill that the Senate in Tennessee had taken up. And what was the first thing Minnesota took up? Abortions in all cases, late-term abortions, post-birth abortions, selling body parts. They don't care. They're for abortions in every single instance. And it just goes to show the two different worlds, the two different realities that people live in. Tim Wells says one Minnesota, it's really two, because the stuff that we want to see is, protecting these kids while he wants to kill kids.
That's right. And so it's not lost to me that we are going the exact opposite way, and then we're calling these states bullies and saying these people are all bad, but then we're parading 6-year-olds up on the stage saying we need to listen to this 6-year-old and believe what gender they are. And then in these two bills, both Alabama and Tennessee, there are, and I don't think I have this on the website here, but certainly we alluded to in Alabama, there's actually criminal violations for healthcare professionals. Well, I can't almost call them healthcare professionals these days, right?
Yeah.
These quack doctors who would perform these kind of surgeries. And in case Alabama, 10 years in prison, up to 10 years in prison. So Walz, in his press conference, and if you haven't seen this, go to episode 24. Last Thursday, we did this and we broke it down. He parades out a surgeon or a pediatrician who does these gender-affirming care, that's what they call it, on youth. That person, which we obviously appropriately called a really bad individual, that person would be criminally prosecuted in these states. Now, I didn't dive into the Florida, but I'm just going to read you. This is Jesse, okay? Remember, Jesse's all in on Trump. So I just want to read. You might not have consciously noticed how you wrote this.
I did take a conscious
okay.
little dig.
Here you go. This is Jesse writing about the Florida bill. Already banned in Florida, new legislation is very similar to other red states and pushes back against this woke ideology. However, the Florida bill does not go as far as others because it grandfathers in the kids that are currently doing the transition.
Which is...
You got to take a pot shot, DeSantis, any chance you... What happened to the hat? Have you completely... There. Oh, my God. Hold on. No, leave that down there. Look, where did you put the... He put it in between the chairs. You are just unbelievable. Poor William.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, DeSantis, he's being shoved down our throats, and I've had enough of it. Guantanamo Bay, Meatball Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious also, all the nicknames. And I'm waiting. You know, he's going to announce. It's only a matter of time, but I've got a whole lot of information on Ron DeSantis that I think will flip some people.
Well, in fairness, we need Roseville's official spokesperson for the unformed Ron DeSantis campaign. William Beck, we'll have him in studio next week to give the opposite side. So I'm not going to let you get away with that, man.
All right.
Well, anyhow, honestly, either one of those guys is so much better than this crap. And this is what's been pushed up. As we showed you, if you just started watching the show, all the way up to the White House, Biden bringing in this craziness. So this is what they're going against. This kind of legislation makes lots of sense. Now, both Alabama and Tennessee want to talk about adults. It's fine if adults get it. I mean, it's not really fine, but we're not going to legislate on it.
Right.
And that's where I'm at, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Same
I
here.
don't think we should. But this was an interesting clip here. We clipped a couple pieces. This was an interview, actually, by Kyle Zielinski of
Kalinsky,
sorry. Kyle Kalinsky of off of Breaking Points, whatever they call that media.
Yeah, Crystal and Kyle and friends.
Yeah. This was interesting. So he was debating. This came up late at night. I was just going through.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, actually. I've seen the video, and I haven't watched it. But, yeah, it's tough to watch that Kyle Kalinsky every once in a while. He's a total radical leftist, and he's kind of annoying. But every once in a while, he gets a good guest like Jordan Peterson.
Well, it's a good discussion. Let's go ahead and play this clip. Oh, jeez.
Let me ask you guys, would you ban transition surgery for adults?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, really. We're
See,
paying
to
a
me-
big price for it, and I think that it was an act of stunning hubris to conduct the first trans surgery procedure. And it's not obvious to me at all that it's been a net social good. If someone comes to you and says, "I feel like I have lung cancer," that is not sufficient grounds upon which to formulate a diagnosis, much less proceed to surgery. And so the question is, what do you mean by feel? What is that? Is that an emotion? Now, this problem is complicated and compounded by the fact of the necessity of medical involvement and the ethics on the medical front. So when you asked me about how that should be regulated, my answer was, I'm not exactly sure about that.
Yeah,
Although it isn't obvious to me that it's obvious to me that the trans surgery enterprise has gone way too far, thousands of people too far. And I'm certain that it's harmed exponentially more people than it's helped.
Okay, that was actually very smooth clipping by Dawson. That was actually 3 different clips put together. Dawson, you're so smooth that I couldn't even tell. So just so you know, those were the thoughts. I just wanted to get away from the dialogue between him and Kyle, because quite frankly, what it doesn't matter what Kyle has to say.
Yeah, no, I know. And I think that Kyle Kalinske, I don't know for sure, but I think that he's pretty in favor of this whole transgender agenda. And it's too bad that, Crystal Ball, she's a lefty too, but she's, okay to listen to. And I'm not sure why she does a show with him, but it's interesting what Jordan Peterson said. I don't fully agree that it should be banned for adults, and he doesn't even fully say that, but I do agree.
He didn't just come out with a statement, though. That's what
right.
I
He
found
really did
interesting.
sit there and think about it for a second.
Yeah.
And I like that he's not someone who's just going on the fly of his seat. He's saying whatever he thinks is the right thing to say. But I also agree with him that this surgery has done more to hurt people than help people. And that's an obvious thing, that it's damaging these people, and that the majority, I don't know, maybe there's someone who has gender dysphoria, it helps. I don't really know, but the vast majority of people, it's harming them.
Yeah. All right, let's go to a couple comments here. Dawson, I'll just read some of these here since I got them. Glenn says, "Good afternoon. Dylan is a man. Quit misgendering him as a woman." I'm just going with what the article said. That's the thing is, nowadays most articles are just going to go right into that pronoun. Oh my God, we have got to talk about this.
What's that?
Speaking of misgendering. Okay. Dawson, go to actionforliberty.com. I totally forgot. I was like, should we bring this up on the show? We definitely have to, because Glenn's comment made me think about this, because this is a fascinating one. Go to actionforliberty.com, pull it on my screen so I can take a look. We're going to look for the article. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's already in the queue. Yeah, it's that one. Socialist Dems push cash stipends. All right, so first of all, we learned who that weird staring person was behind Tim Walz.
That's right.
During the transgender press conference, and it was a state representative named Alicia Kozlowski. Pictured there with to the left, to the right behind her is is Grant Hochschild, who's also sponsored this program. This is money that's your money, basically surplus money, and they just want to give cash stipends to homeless youth. Youth defined at like 26 or something like that, right?
Yeah, right. 18 to 26.
Yeah, and they say with priority to the LGBTQ. Crazy. Okay,
and people of color.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to miss that one.
So scroll down. Did we hyperlink Alicia Kozlowski, because we learned something about this? There you go. The bill is authored by the first two-spirit non-binary legislator. Click on that. Okay, you guys ready for this? Because if you want to talk about misgendering someone, we're about to go on a wild ride here. I'm gonna see if I can get this right, okay? Because this is actually a tricky one. Okay. Are we seriously getting paywalled? I got a backup if we can't get through this thing. Okay, I do have a backup. All right, I'm gonna try to fight this thing. It's the Bidgie Pioneer. Shoot, I got paywalled. I'm just gonna Google Alicia Kozlowski.
Yeah, it says it in the Wikipedia as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to read there's an even better one than the Wikipedia.
I'll officially come out and say that as a Detroit Lakes native, Bemidji doesn't deserve the right to paywall their stuff.
It's all probably the same owner. Just go to Alicia Kozlowski's Wikipedia page.
How do you spell that?
Kozlowski. Okay.
I think I'm there.
Yep, that's the one.
You guys ready for this wild ride? This is gonna be fun. All right. So as you read, what page is it? Okay. Kozlowski is non-binary. So it reads, born in Duluth, Minnesota, Kozlowski is of Mexican and Ojibwe descent and is the child of a Fond du Lac band elder. They earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from the University of Minnesota Duluth. From 2020 2010 to 2015, Kozlowski worked as administrative assistant and guest services manager at Simon Property Group. They then worked as a registrar generalist at the college. And it goes on. They.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, I just noticed this. This might be new. Kozlowski was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives in November 2022. She first ran after the four-term DFL incumbent Jennifer Schultz announced she would not seek re-election. And then the next sentence, when they assumed office, Kozlowski became the first non-barony. Oh, what a cleverly written paragraph there.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a woman.
Yeah.
Then she ran for office and came out. Kozlowski became the first non-binary and first two-spirit member of the Minnesota legislature. And then there's they hyperlink to something on the bottom. Click on that. So if you scroll to the bottom, it's number 5. And it says new Indigenous and LGBTQ plus voices that will represent Minnesota. Alicia's the top one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for this? This is the article I was looking for. My pronouns are they, them. This is an actual thing. I always thought that was a joke. This is actually like made it to the state legislature in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running for Minnesota House AB, blah, 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 blah. I'm running as a Native person, as a Mexican-American person, as a two-spirit, non-binary person. When I read this, and I still to this day don't know what that means, she's a two-spirit person. Didn't you learn what that was?
It's something to do with Native American spirituality. I don't fully get it. I think it's just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo nonsense. I have no idea what it means. Two-spirit, it's... I don't even want to guess. I'll sound dumb. I have no idea but their explanation's got to be dumb too.
Right, and these are the people crafting policy. I was looking at some older pictures. Actually, didn't look like she was a bad-looking woman.
Mm-hmm. She looked like a woman.
Longer hair and all that stuff. And now even that is a little different because if you go back to the Action for Liberty article, is just taking on that look. I don't even know how to define that look, but you know what that look is. The glasses that basically no conservatives wear. It's like the liberals all shop at the same place.
Yeah.
The hairstyle, like basically Johnny Cash, just became this. You just kind of wonder, like, is this a big joke? Is this?
Sorry. I just had to sneeze. I tried to hold it in. I couldn't get it
sneeze,
out.
Don't worry about it, Jesse.
I know.
Nothing's.
I didn't want to freak you out though.
As long as you don't
be
sneeze
fine.
onto the mic, then I'm fine.
Yeah. I turned away, Dawson. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Anyhow, so don't worry, we won't misgender someone. In this case, there is no gender; they're just they, which is grammatically makes my ears bleed. I can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it doesn't make sense. The they/them thing. It really doesn't make any sense. You can't use it properly in a sentence. It just goes against proper English. And they get real crazy when you don't call them a they/them. It's really weird to see. I think it'd be funny if people.
Now, when you said they get crazy, were you just referring to Alicia?
I was meaning the whole transgender people out there. But he, she's. I think maybe people should start going to Kozlowski and properly calling her a woman. Maybe she just needs some reinforcement to bring her back to reality. I don't know.
How about if you're in this boat, just stop being, in the political spotlight and shaping public policy, right? Like once you do that, once you engage in the political arena, we have to have an opinion on it, especially when you're crafting legislation that's so terrible.
Yeah.
Essentially, these guys are all on board with this. This is why it's completely fair game. Is these guys are all on board with this sanctuary state bill. Mm-hmm. That's what this press conference
right,
was.
Exactly.
Walls
If there was
signing an executive order that really doesn't do much. What really does something is if they pass HF 163 or whatever the hell that was.
Right, yeah, and that's the thing. Unless there's a Democrat out there that's saying that they oppose it, which there isn't, so their silence speaks for them. We know exactly that these Democrats all support it, and they don't all actually support it. They're just afraid to speak out.
Right. Now, I really am interested in this program. As if you can't see any problems with this program, they're going to use a nonprofit to disseminate cash stipends to homeless youth. Gee, I wonder if that's going to be abused. So in this program, what they're going to do is somehow, and we couldn't find out in the language of the bill, so maybe it's a wink, wink, nod, nod, to these nonprofits disseminating it, but they're going to give preference to LGBTQ youth. Go back to the article, because Alicia Kozlowski, they went on to write about. See how appropriate I was there?
Yeah.
Wasn't that great? Go down to this social media post of they. It just makes my ears bleed. So Alicia writes, another bill led by youth for youth, HF 2008, would establish a youth cash stipend pilot program for homeless youth ages 18 to 24. We were off on that, 26, 24, in Hennepin and St. Louis County. By the way, if you don't know, or if you're not from Minnesota, Hennepin County is Minneapolis, St. Louis County way up by Canada. So that's the two counties they picked. Now, she's from St. Louis County, right? So there's the tie-in. Geared towards LGBTQ youth and youth of color, which is very unfortunate that they left out the IA and the plus. So apparently two-spiriteds are not going to be accounted for in this bill.
That's what it looks like. What a shame.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's like, why does that matter, right?
Yep.
But this is this toxicity of the left. Okay, so I said to Jesse, I'll give you a couple minutes at the end of the show for your crazy conspiracies. Are you? What's that? Oh, am I not using the mic? I'm sorry. It's the first time doing this, Dawson. Thanks for the reminder. You wanted to talk about how Michelle Obama's really a man? Is that what you wanted to do?
Well, we could do that one
no,
first.
We're not doing it. That one is so stupid. God.
I think it's fun to talk about. I think it's just a good question to have. I think, if in the comments section, if you think Michelle Obama is a man, let us know. If you think she's a woman, let us know. I'd like to know what our audience thinks.
What's that, Dawson?
I'm exclaiming incredulously because Jesse is very funny.
I mean, he just is like, I'm asking the questions. I don't have an opinion on this.
Right, I don't know. I don't know if Michelle Obama is a man. She's never proven to me that she's a woman. So I mean,
she has to prove to you. I didn't know you were the official.
Well, and people,
gender assignment person.
No, I'm not the official person. I'm just saying I don't know. And I've seen some pictures of her looking pretty manly. There's people out there saying, where's the photos of a pregnant Michelle Obama? They don't exist. What's going on here? I don't know. I don't know.
All right, all right, I'll let you play the Joan Rivers clip.
But Joan Rivers, she was one of the people to popularize this idea.
Yeah, the deceased Joan Rivers.
Mr. Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama. So let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
Joan Rivers is a comedian. That's great shock value on that one.
I guess so.
I told you Tim Dillon's coming to Mystic Lake on April 7th.
Yep, that's exciting. But one thing also about this Michelle Obama thing, I was looking for that clip of Joan Rivers, and it looked like CNN had posted it, so I clicked on it, and they replaced the clip. CNN changed the clip after the fact. It's almost like CNN is covering for Michael Obama. Is Michelle Michael? I don't really know. I just know that CNN is covering up for it. They don't want people to think about it. They don't want people questioning it. But I think the transgender movement, they would love to have Michelle Obama come out and say the truth. It'd be a big win of momentum for them.
Could it not be them cleaning it up a little bit after she passed away, you said, right, Jay?
Joan Rivers did, yeah.
Joan Rivers did. So that's probably not something that Joan Rivers would want to have floating around.
Oh, no, she was crude as a comedian. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't care.
CNN probably
She was so spit out by the modern cancel culture because she had shock value. It's hilarious,
right?
Really, I mean, I don't know if we're supposed to laugh though. I better check with the mob.
Well, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if Barack Obama was interested in a transgender. And that's why in this.
Why do you say that?
In this other video here that we can see.
Oh no,
Barack Obama had a tranny nanny. He had a transgender babysitter nanny that looked after him I think people should watch this video. I didn't know about this until a few days ago, and once I discovered it, it's like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense. It's crazy.
All right, that's the last piece I'm giving you on the show,
last
because this
one.
thing is taking a turn for something really interesting, and every Q person is going to love us here. Okay, go ahead.
66-year-old Evie walks the streets of her Indonesian slum. She lives in a tiny room, subsisting on money she earns from washing clothes. Evie's meager existence belies a startling truth. She was once nanny to President Barack Obama. Evie says she's always been proud that the person she cared for, drove to school, and cooked for ended up being #1 in the world. The future president was just 8 years old
This
at the
isn't
time.
the video
In the
I
late
sent you. I don't think it's not
1960s, his mother,
playing
Ann
any of
Dunham,
the
married her second
audio on top
husband
of
and
it.
moved to
What do you mean it's
Indonesia.
not the video you
Dunham
sent
was
me? I
impressed by
clicked a
Evie's
link.
cooking ability
I know, but
and offered her a
this wasn't
job.
what I watched.
For 2 years, Evie
It
lived
is
with
what I
Obama
watched.
and his
It is
family in this
interesting how
Jakarta
it's not playing
home.
the audio. Anyhow,
It
you
looks
sent this
like-
to me the other night at probably like
It's a big
midnight or
conspiracy.
something like that, and I was like, really, Jesse?
Okay.
So go ahead and introduce what it is, and I'm going to read some comments here.
Okay, well, people should look it up for themselves. You can find it, just Google or YouTube or Rumble. Just look up Obama transgender nanny. You will find it all for yourself. Obama, when he was a kid, he lived in Indonesia for a little while after his mom had left Barack Obama Sr. And so they were in Indonesia. She gets herself a new Indonesian boyfriend. She needs someone to be a nanny. And sure enough, who does she choose? She chooses a transgender person, a guy who's pretending to be a woman. It's pretty crazy. Apparently, the transgender said that she had no idea that Barack Obama even became the president, that the transgender didn't tell Obama as a kid that he was being raised by this transgender. This is a crazy story, you know. This isn't just, you know,
It was
things
crazy.
that just happen.
I didn't know about that. And you introduced, like, you wouldn't believe all the things they missed on Obama. I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of us knew that because you were obviously very young during Obama. It's like, oh yeah, like Jeremiah Wright, the pastor that he apparently went to services every Sunday but didn't know all the racial things the guy said and the profanities he said from the pulpit. Yeah, Obama was such a fraud, and the media didn't do any good job covering that story. But you know, you make it sound like his mother actually searched for a transgender maid.
I don't know.
I'm betting it's just a Miss Doubtfire deal. You think you hired a lady, ends up it's really a dude, but you thought you hired a lady.
Maybe. I don't fully know. And you know,
But
I got
you know what? In the case of Miss Doubtfire, the whole ruse was so that you could be closer to the kids and make an impact on their lives. Huh? Ooh.
Right.
You get my reference. You know what Miss Doubtfire is?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, a long time
I
ago.
just learned all you guys hadn't seen Super Troopers the other day. I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
Bliff Gardner says, Two-Spirit is what the Native Americans call their trans people, is my understanding. Can we pull up the Wikipedia real quick? Because, you know, on this show, we like to be as accurate and precise as possible, and I feel it'd be a great injustice if we didn't actually give you guys the official definition of Two-Spirit. Because Is there one? What do you got? Am I going to see on the screen? Well, that's Wikipedia right there. That's what I'm looking at. Two-Spirit, also 2S, or occasionally Two-Spirited, is a modern pan-Indian umbrella term used by some indigenous North Americans to describe Native people in their communities who fulfill a traditional third gender or other gender variant ceremonial and social role in their culture. Well, now I got to click on third gender. What's third gender? Third gender is a concept. Yeah, that's right. It's a concept in which individuals are categorized either by themselves or by society as neither man nor woman. Well, okay, now this is just stupid. Alicia's like saying I'm non-binary, but I'm two-spirited. So it's like that's redundant.
Yeah. You're
just like now. What was that original article? It talked about everything that she is, and then had to go back and reemphasize the fact that she's Indian. I mean, I can't even keep track of all this craziness.
No, I know. It's ridiculous. I can't keep track either.
I mean, they're making shit up.
Yep.
And then you read whatever, the Wikipedia page, the article, and you're referring to one individual as they. Like, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
Oh. You know, if you don't want people talking about it, stop running for office. Stop trying to make policy. Stop trying to change our... Stop spending our damn surplus money on bullshit cash stipends to homeless youth and making that issue also about LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
And stop going after our children. That is the most ridiculous thing. You guys are monsters for doing that. Like, you know, I never thought that would be the big rallying cry, and maybe it is politically for us, is protecting children, not trans children. There's no such thing as a freaking trans children. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that kid's going to do when they grow up. Little boys will sometimes play with dolls and try do tea parties with girls and wear dresses. It doesn't mean they're going to grow up and be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
They're 6, they're 4, whatever it is. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And there are girls out there that they're tomboys. They like doing boy stuff. And some of them end up growing up and they end up having girl traits. We don't know as children.
Yeah.
You know? You got to stop listening to the children in that regard. That's such a dumb concept. My little 6-year-old, I'll give you a little story here, and then we'll sign off. My 6-year-old last night goes, built a leprechaun trap. And I was like, oh, that's funny, you know. And then he goes on to talk about leprechauns. I go, you know, leprechauns aren't real. Oh, no, Dad, they're real. And
you know, I was like your son for a while. I was a part of the, you know, leprechaun truther movement for a little while, too. I think there's questions to ask. There's some interesting videos if people dig deep enough into the internet.
Are you bullshitting me right now?
No, I mean, as a kid, I looked into it.
As a kid?
Sure.
Like 18 to 24-year-old?
No.
Wait, you're 24 right now. You're youth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did you stop believing that?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it's...
No, I know. This is a very specific question.
I'd say... I don't know. I like looking into those kinds of things.
Can I get William back on the show?
The Bigfoots, the mermaids, the leprechauns. It's good to just be questioning everything. I think it's good to just, you know, side on.
I can't tell if you're bullshitting me right now. Did you really believe in leprechauns?
I don't really anymore, but I'm open to it.
You're open to leprechauns?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And mermaids, I totally believe in mermaids.
Well, yeah, there's movies of that, right?
Well, yeah, there's documentaries.
Surprisingly, what Jesse's saying is not the craziest thing we've talked about in the show here. Too spirited. He believed in leprechauns, and he basically the conversation, because it carried on to this morning. Oh, Dad, if I catch one, you'll admit you were wrong. Yep, I'll admit I'm wrong if you catch a leprechaun in that thing. 6-year-olds.
Yep, I'm rooting for your son.
They don't know anything. Neither do 24-year-olds currently.
Maybe just on the leprechaun topic, but we'll see.
Carla Nelson said that Joan Rivers died shortly after that interview. Tucker alludes to suicide. Wink, wink. I don't think so. She was old.
Yeah.
She was like in her late 80s, I want to say. Jesse, Carla says, Jesse, I love you bunches, but don't be so open your brain falls out.
Oh, yeah?
I think everyone lost on leprechauns.
On the leprechauns, okay.
What age did you finally believe that is not true?
I was just a kid, probably 10 to 12, you know.
Okay. Why did you just say that? No one's going to fault you for that.
Yeah.
12, but 10 to 12, there's quite a difference in that.
Yeah, there is. Okay, the leprechauns, I'll drop that one, but, you know, other things people should still be, you know, just question everything. Who knows?
Well, you know, I know that's where it comes to is like you got to start questioning everything in this world. Like you've been spoon-fed so many lies. Oh, leprechauns. Oh, man. Two spirits. Oh, they, them. Wow. I actually really wanted to talk more about foreign policy and the banking system collapse.
Yeah.
You know, there's this. Here's the conspiracy I have, and the only reason I'm going on with this show is because we still have an audience. So, and in some regards, it's growing. So apparently, the leprechaun bit actually stuck with people.
Maybe
we have a lot of pro leprechauns.
I hope so.
We are coming really close to St. Patty's Day, by the way, March 17th.
That's right.
Stopping by Quinny's in Matamidi. Janice Quinlan, great friend of the show, for some mulligan stew and green beer.
Cool.
I won't be there actually because they'll be celebrating that 6-year-old's birthday party who believes in leprechauns.
Oh yeah.
Where is they going with this? I was going to extend something. I've lost my train of thought now. Where was I going with this, Jesse?
I'm not sure. St. Patrick's Day,
I think,
leprechauns.
You know, if we want to talk about the conspiracies, I almost sometimes think that, you know, they plant this stuff in Biden's ears and they hold this press conference and they get the walls of the world to parade this thing just so we talk about such a crazy issue. Meanwhile, their banks are closing. They're about to get us in World War III. Do you ever get the sense that this is all just one big ruse because they want us focusing on something, meanwhile they're doing something right over here? Because this is clearly not the biggest issue, but you can't ignore it if they're actually going to hack up children. That seems to be what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I think it's partially, of course, a distraction to, you know, keep people focused on the culture war, but I think it's also a very real thing like you're talking about. You know, these are kids' lives on the line, and so it is partially a distraction, but also the establishment is so good at pointing us in so many different directions, so many issues all the time, so we can't keep them all straight at all the time. So, yeah, no, I think that they're definitely trying to keep people focused on one thing. Don't look at this. You know, pay attention to the hand. Don't look at the hand behind. So
yeah, and then, I mean, you got Twitter files, which is the federal government, you know, infringing on our First Amendment rights, which is a huge violation. Somehow the mysterious UFOs that just went away.
Yeah,
you know, and we talked about that in like 3 weeks. These things that they shot down.
Yeah,
we still don't know. They were balloons, but we still don't know what the hell happened there. Oh man, that's why I'm so happy to do this show, is because we're going to investigate these big topics. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to tell you what we believe to be true, because we're living in a world of deceptions and lies by the mainstream media and the politicians. So we're going to weed through that bullshit. Even the leprechauns, you know, we'll cover those topics, I guess. But there's so much more to talk about. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I want to let you know we've got a really interesting interview scheduled. We'll be releasing on Tuesday with somebody that was actually at the January 6th. What the hell are we going to call this now? Because it's not an insurrection. The January 6th guided tour?
Yeah, I just say protest, but I'm sure that there's a cool name that we could come up with.
Okay. So the January 6th Capitol protest. She's being prosecuted, which there's video of her that seems to be a clear and cut thing that she didn't do what they're alleging. So we're going to have that for you on Tuesday is what we're looking to release this. Hopefully everything works out, but we'll be interviewing her and releasing that. So stay tuned. We'll be live Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I think next week our second show will actually be moved to Friday. We try to do Tuesday and Thursdays 1 o'clock, but I think next week, just because of a schedule conflict, the next one will be on Friday. But anyhow, Tuesday at 1 o'clock right here on Rumble. By the way, everyone here is now watching on Rumble because YouTube's got us banned. But make sure if you are watching, you get that free account and you like or follow us on Rumble. That helps us out tremendously. Go to our Twitter account. Do you have the Twitter handle? It's action_liberty right over here. Action_liberty. And follow us on Twitter. Those are two current free speech platforms that we're on. We're obviously building from scratch. You know, it's really interesting. We had tens of thousands of people following us on Facebook. We had one group with 50,000 followers. Facebook wiped us off the internet. We built back relatively quick, about 2,500, and then it stopped. And essentially with even 2,500 people that follow us on Facebook, you never get more than a couple impressions unless we post a meme. And then the Facebook gods are like, oh, meme, that's harmless. It's not activating people, mobilizing them to do anything politically. So we'll let people like that. So we don't even end up on your feed if you're still on Facebook. Honestly, we put so little investment in Facebook these days. I almost just wish we could be off the platform, but there's still people there. So, and then, of course, Truth Hurts, which I think you just look up Action for Liberty, and that's what you'll find. Oh yeah, Tucker writes, meanwhile, Russian fighters are pissing fuel on our drones in the Black Sea. You know, I didn't even fully vet. Oh, here's another big story that has just gone out of the public view. Like Seymour Hersh's article about how the Biden administration blew up the Nord Stream pipeline.
Well, you know, actually, I was just seeing something on that I think the U.S. is saying Ukraine did it. That Ukraine.
Oh, I know what they're saying.
Right, but that's the story now. that's what they're going with.
Of course they're going with that. And by the way, Ukraine didn't do that without our help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Great journalism. So-called journalist, Seymour Hersh, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist.
Yep, and I think, didn't Russia just shoot down
that's what he's
American,
referring to, yeah.
Right,
but it's a drone. I'm like, oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a good way for things to be going. So we definitely need peace. We need someone who's willing to cut a deal between Zelensky and Putin. That's the only way that we can get this thing over with.
Qual for Life says, good stuff. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you, Qual for Life. I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I feel like we're bringing something that you guys are interested in. Obviously, you keep tuning into it. Comment section is great. Unfortunately, the live comment section just disappears after this. So I appreciate everyone that does that. You can leave a comment. Please leave a comment if you watch this after the fact. Most of our audience watches after the fact. I think we'd probably do better if we did live in the evening. But, of course, in the evening, I like spending time with my little children and then listening to what gender they are that day. Just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that. There's good families that probably have to deal with crazy things. Everyone's got to deal with stuff. You have kids. Kids aren't easy, right?
Yeah.
My God, you don't listen to what gender they say they are. That's the dumbest crap ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sign off. Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Make sure you tune in. We will have a special guest that we're going to be interviewing. She's being prosecuted for the January 6th event, whatever the hell we want to call that, the guided tour at the Capitol protest. Certainly not an insurrection. That is a false narrative they want you to believe in. So we'll be interviewing her. That'll be Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.